ago, most people had never even heard of this problem. No one could have predicted how quickly it would spread and impact so many lives. I'm talking about derealization and depersonalization. Both conditions share a common trait. The perception of reality changes. You feel as if you are dreaming or observing the world from a different perspective. I had never heard of it either until suddenly I've started experiencing it myself. Unfortunately, more and more people know exactly what I'm talking about, but so many struggle to improve their symptoms. In this video, I'll give you a crucial advice on recovery, along with a step-by-step guide on how to feel better. This process consists of 3 steps, but many people overlook them. It began on New Year's Eve while I was celebrating with my friends. We were just having fun, talking. Many people experience DPDR symptoms after drinking too much alcohol or smoking weed, for example. But that was not the case for me. Suddenly, out of nowhere, I felt like I was in a dream. I assumed it would go away, but from that moment, everything felt different. The next few days were just as difficult. I tried getting more sleep, hoping it would help, but it barely made a difference. As time passed, I realized this feeling wasn't going away. At first I thought it was just brain fog, but it wasn't. Brain fog makes thinking harder, but it doesn't make you feel like the reality is slipping away. The strangest part, my brain still functioned normally. I could think, talk, and make decisions, but I felt disconnected, as if I were watching my own life from the outside. Of course, I tried everything to get rid of this feeling. Drinking more water, exercising, reducing screen time, spending more time in nature. But this only provided slight relief. It wasn't enough. That's why today I want to share my best tips for overcoming DPDR and explain how you can finally feel better. Before we talk about recovery, we need to understand why we feel this way. Our brains process enormous amounts of information every day, and along with that comes stress. When stress becomes overwhelming, the brain activates a natural survival mechanism to protect itself. It starts to shut down. This is why DPDR often makes you feel like you're in a dream. In other words, derealization and depersonalization are closely linked to stress and emotional overload. So the root cause of both conditions is stress, which brings us to the key question: how do we recover? Before we dive into solutions, I want to emphasize one thing. I'm not a doctor. I'm just someone who went through DPDR and found ways to recover. Every case is different, and seeking professional help is always the best option. That being said, if you're looking for ways to improve on your own, I can share what worked for me. Step 1. Identify your stressors. The first step is understanding where your stress is coming from. This may sound obvious, but take a moment to ask yourself, what is causing me the most stress? Pay attention to when your symptoms get worse. Don't rush this process. Be honest with yourself. There are 2 main types of stress triggers. First, past events that still affect you. Second, ongoing stress from your current life. In many cases, both play a role. The tricky part is that many people don't even realize they're living under constant stress. I didn't either until I took a step back and analyzed my life. Stress can come from many sources, like toxic relationships, social pressure, consuming too much news, or being constantly overstimulated by technology. Over time, I realized that fear is the biggest trigger for DPDR. The more fear we experience, the more our brain tries to escape reality. That's why reducing fear is so important. However, before tackling fear, you first need to identify the source of your stress, because stress is what fuels that fear in the first place. Step 2. Reduce stress and overstimulation. Once you've identified your stressors, the next step is figuring out what you can do to minimize their impact. Every situation is different, but I want to assure you that there's always a way to feel better. The key of overcoming fear and stress is not avoiding it, but rather either accepting what you cannot change or changing what you can. Many people suffer because they stress over things they have no control over. That's why I encourage you to focus on what brings you peace. For some, that might be meditation, yoga, or sports. For me, it was cutting back on social media and news consumption. Overstimulation was keeping my brain in a state of constant tension. Reducing it gave me clarity and a sense of calm. For you, relief might come from ending a toxic relationship, which by the way was huge for me, or stepping out of your comfort zone. Another crucial factor is building meaningful relationships. Our sense of identity is deeply connected to the people we surround ourselves with. When we feel disconnected, our symptoms can worsen. Find what makes you feel grounded. That's the most important thing you need to understand. If you calm your mind and stop fearing your symptoms, your brain will no longer feel the need to stay in safety mode. And when that happens, the realization and depersonalization will fade. Step 3. Accept that recovery isn't linear. The final step is acknowledging that you won't feel the same way every day. Some days you'll feel better and other days worse, but that's normal. Many people fall into a trap where they fear their own symptoms. The more they think about DPDR, the worse their symptoms get. It's a cycle. The key is to remind yourself that this is temporary. Tell yourself, this won't last forever. I can recover. The point of this video is to show you that stress and fear are the biggest amplifiers of DPDR. If we remove the things in our lives that harm us and create unnecessary stress, we will feel better. I truly hope this video was helpful. If it was, please subscribe to my channel. I'm here to help others with advice based on my own experiences. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.